Greetings once again, my dear friends. This is your faithful narrator, Squancho the Monkey Boy, here to read once again from the greatest story ever told, Ballsfart and the Forest of Penises. Before we get started, Ballsfart wanted to recommend that everyone, again, give him their money in the form of purchasing his book. And it seems that someone has. That's great news. We have a new review. Very excited to read this. Always excited to hear from one of Ballsfart's loving fans. Today, this one is a 3 out of 5 star review. All right, that's better than half. It reads Silly Adventure. Well, that's nice. Let's see. Some very funny parts. Well, I don't know if that was the intention, but that's good that you got something out of it. And then says, but I found Ballsfart to be a little too much of a douchebag for my liking. Kind of wished he had not survived. Okay, well, that's, you know what, overall positive. We'll take what we can get. Glad to hear that you love the story. And I'm sure that Ballsfart is happy that you gave him your money. All right, well, time to read chapter 6, entitled, Witch, Please. All right. The next morning, I awoke to the all-too-familiar sight of giant magical cocks. I then loaded up on a few gulps of beige shit water before setting off to find this so-called witch. It's said that the average human body can survive a few weeks without food if it has to, unlike with thirst, which will kill you after only a handful of days. But unfortunately, I didn't have an average human body, and I was also burning a ton of calories marching like a son of a bitch in that heat. Therefore, I estimated that without food, I'd probably be dead within a day or two, and this was most unfortunate. Luckily, though, the northward march was pretty easy for the most part. There was a little bit more cloud cover than on the previous days, so I wasn't taking nearly so many breaks under the shade of those big, wide dickheads. And along the way, I encountered another river bend, which I kept safely away from. I also noticed a new kind of bug, something about the size of a raccoon, but it looked all prickly with its exoskeleton, so I figured it best to just not fuck with it while I was naked and unarmed. According to Shitmouth 2, I was looking for a big, wide cave that was located just to the south of a giant, dark-skinned penis. He also said that this penis really stood out because it hooked hard to the left and fanned out at the top like a palm tree. As the day dragged on, I had pretty good visibility, but hadn't yet seen any donga peeking above the rest that quite fit this description. By afternoon, my stomach was gurgling again, and my fat ass could definitely use a snack. Should I try to eat the lice again? Perhaps I could just try eating the innards. I walked up to the nearest big, fat sack of bowls and dug my arm underneath, feeling around for some lice. I figured that that's where they hide while the sun was out, and I wasn't wrong. Bingo! I grabbed one with my hand and pulled it squirming into the light. All right, time to kill this thing. I tried to smash its head with my foot, but the ground wasn't very hard in this area, and there weren't any rocks or trees to beat it against. Also, I didn't have my boots. Needless to say, it took a surprisingly long time to just kill it, and I ultimately ended up using my bare hands and brute strength to rip its screaming head off. I then sat down on a big, comfy set of bowls and proceeded to pry my fingers under its plates, slowly forming a fissure and peeling it back. the translucent shell and limbs pried off easily enough, but it was messy work, and the creature's black, nasty, smelly inner ichor was all over my hands and exposed skin. Finally, I took what slimy clump I could salvage and threw it down the hatch. I then puked this right back up within about 5 seconds. Shit. There has to be something in those little fuck stains that makes you vomit. It's hard to explain. I've eaten some disgusting shit before. Hell, I'd literally been drinking shit water for several days at that point and was almost starting to like it. But something about these giant dick lice just triggers a gag reflex that makes them completely inedible. Plus, it doesn't help that blowing chunks makes one's stomach sore. And if you already had a tummy ache before your fat ass even started marching on a summer day, then your guts twist twice as hard. Helplessly, my eyes lingered upon the wrinkled and rubbery foreskin of the nearest giant magic penis. No, I looked away. But then I looked back. It was just skin, after all. Oh no. It was like chicken skin, and I'd eaten chicken skin 100 times before. That was nothing. Oh, come on. Maybe I could even cook it. But first, I'd have to get it off the shaft. I stepped up to that big, girthy motherfucker, placing my hands upon it. And though I originally hated touching these things, I'd gotten pretty used to it by this point. Still, though, they were just like real dicks, only enormous. They could even sweat. I squeezed off about a bite-sized portion of foreskin between my thumb and forefinger, and then took a deep breath before giving it hell and crushing this mass between my teeth. It's a real shame that kappa disintegrated my sword. Fucking dipshit. Well, at first, the dick skin was too tough to get through with my jaws, but with effort, I punctured its surface and soon began forming a tear. I pulled and I chewed, ripping away a big cookable chunk, and as I nearly finished plucking it off, I noticed that the dick was now bleeding. Oops, I guess I cut too deeply. Oh well. I kept chewing and pulling until I finally got the clump of skin that I wanted. Maybe I could make it into some jerky or something. Just then, my eyes suddenly noticed movement, and I narrowed my focus upon the ground. The shadow of the penis was moving. I turned and looked back up at the knob to find it slowly dwindling, one throb at a time, gradually growing flaccid. Damn, I didn't know they would do that with such little provocation. Though I guess if someone bit a little chunk out of my foreskin, it would probably kill my boner too. But then I imagined someone biting my foreskin and actually started to get a half chub. So perhaps that's more a matter of personal preference. As the dick slowly deflated, I stepped out of range, its head imploding back into its bleeding foreskin. Wow. On that first day, I had chopped dicks down like a madman, but I didn't know that these giant penises that grew from the dirt had what you might call feelings. I suppose I was learning a lot about the world on this adventure. Or probably not. Either way, I had found something that I could try eating, and that was all that mattered. Previously, I'd used tufts of pubes to make my fires, and I could probably find enough of those to keep my fire going this time too, but I no longer had my flint. Damn it. I would have to eat this foreskin raw. I pressed down on it like a vice between my molars, trying to break through the fibers, but it was some really tough-ass man meat. Still holding part of it with my hand, I shook the dick skin from side to side, slowly tearing through it with my teeth. I was so focused on the deed at hand that I almost didn't even notice that another shadow was moving around me. It was a bigger shadow than before, and standing there, naked, with a mouthful of foreskin, I looked up in horror. Holy flaming fucks, you guys. It was then that I beheld that most horrifying red dragon, the one that the Kappas had so vehemently warned me about, along with its giant red dragon dick. And it was coming right for me, and he spells coming, yeah. My eyes shot around for some means of escape, but the area was nearly barren. Fuck. There was nowhere to hide. But further northward stood a denser collection of cocks. It was my only hope. I had to move fast. I spit out the foreskin, tossing the rest of it to the ground, and then bolted as fast as my bare feet could carry me. Now, had this been under normal circumstances, I probably would have already been fucked by the time that I saw that thing's shadow, because even though that dragon was flying high above me, it was coming down fast. Again, he spells come, he doesn't spell it correctly. If this had been anywhere else, I would have been toast. But luckily for me, those merv fucks had used their magic to cast some big protective dome over all the forest. Much like their other barriers, something strong enough could still push through it eventually, but doing so would be slow and difficult. And so, as I ran, the sight behind was truly bizarre. It was like that big-dicked dragon was just floating some 100 feet or so in the sky, no longer flapping its wings, but now just clawing wildly at an invisible surface, struggling to drive its head through, layer by layer, like a dog squeezing through a small opening. That mermaid barrier must have been crazy powerful, but that dragon was definitely breaking through, one way or another. I kept running, now reaching the edge of that dense grove, gaining some bit of protective cover behind all of those giant schlongs. But before I could celebrate, an earthquake shook through me as the monstrosity landed with a crash, having now surpassed the barrier. Then, in no more than a heartbeat, I could feel it galloping towards me, reaching the surrounding grove in seconds and then immediately peeling apart the dicks with its monstrous claws. Blood from those giant dicks sprayed everywhere, but I couldn't even take a moment to fathom how fucking insane that looked. I just had to keep moving, my heart pounding through my ribcage, but thanks to the adrenaline, I couldn't even feel my stomach pains anymore. I simply kept sprinting with every ounce of energy that was left in my legs. For a second, the sound of the dragon seemed to disappear. How? Had it worked? Had I outwitted the beast? But then that fucking bastard showed me its power, though I didn't see it at first. No, I felt it. It emerged as the sensation of blistering heat. I turned around to behold a fountain of white, hot, glowing spraying all over the cocks, burning through them like magma as they wilted down into fried little peckers. The dragon had leapt into the sky and was now flying low, its shadow careening across the forest floor, its wings bellowing down hurricane-like winds, its cock jizzing fiery death and devastation upon everything beneath it. I panicked as its shadow passed nearby. The forest was thinning out ahead, and not just because it was being melted by a geyser of burning ejaculate. Shit, that fucker would soon spot me. I reflexively pressed my back against a long, thin knob as the horror passed directly overhead, and then narrowly leapt out of the way before that knob exploded into ash behind me. To my right, the grove remained somewhat dense, and there was no time to deliberate. As I darted in that direction, the terrain became hillier, and at certain points was even steep. I nearly tripped as I slid down a long, dusty ramp, and upon reaching the bottom, I abruptly halted, for another massive spout of dragon cum poured down before me, forming a thin brooklet of volcanic annihilation. I took a few steps to gain a running start and then charged forward as hard as I could, leaping like a buck-naked badass to the other side of that deadly jism river. My poor exposed nuts shriveling up into themselves as they passed over that seething hotness. I landed on the other side and slid a few feet before turning and sprinting up the following hill, but climbing was too slow. The dragon was going to find me. I didn't have much time, and that's when I saw it. A big brown dick with a palm tree head curving hard to the left. Just then, a mind-shattering roar rained down upon me, and I pressed my hands to my ears. Better a roar than come, I thought, as I summited the next hill, now searching the skies for the dragon. Ominously, I passed across the sun, but I was almost there. I was almost safe. I sprinted to the southward side of the cock, and soon found the wide-mouthed entrance of the cave. But unfortunately, the dragon had found me as well. To this day, I don't know how I dodged that torrential burst of lethal dragon sperm. Many, I know, have not been so lucky, and I could feel its unimaginable heat rush past me as it annihilated a whole row of giant cocks in one single buttery load. Automatically, I slid down the last hill before ducking into the cave, now running through pitch-black darkness, my uncovered feet slapping upon a hard, rocky floor. Briefly, I turned over my shoulder to find the dragon peeking into the cave's entrance. It then pulled its head back and inserted its giant, throbbing death cock. I turned away to face forward, but I could not see where I was going in that darkness, and was soon caught painfully by surprise as my face smacked right into a hard wooden surface. My body slammed to the ground just in time for me to see a geyser of magma come squirting all over the inside of the cave. This chaotic explosion of draconic ball chowder was even louder than the dragon's own orgasmic moans. But something on the other side of me began stirring. That wooden barrier was moving, it was sliding, it was a door. And then a figure stepped through that door and grabbed me, pushing me behind itself. I then watched in amazement as this being held aloft its massive glowing staff and belted out a strange incantation, the end of which unleashed a deafening crack that resonated all through the cave, freezing the dragon comb as it reached it, moving up its jizz trail, and injuring the dragon's giant cock upon impact. The beast then screeched in tortured anguish, pulled its dick out of the cave, and began to fly away. Unbelievably stupefied, I turned to look upon my mysterious savior, who then removed their hood, revealing herself to be a beautiful, dark-skinned elf. Holy shit, I almost couldn't believe my eyes. Ballsfart? She asked. I was speechless. What the fuck? How was this even possible? Here I was, deep in the middle of the forest of penises, and yet somehow, despite all odds, I had actually run into someone that I knew. Holy magic tits, you guys. It was fate. L'Oreal? I asked. What the fuck are you doing out here, man? Wait, what are you doing out here? This place fucking sucks. It's just dicks and dragons and dragon dicks. This is where I live now. You're at my house. You live in a dick forest? Just then, L'Oreal cupped her hand over her nose. Hot damn, dude, you smell like rotting shit and vomit. What the fuck have you been doing? I've been, adventuring. Oh my God, that's awful. She dry heaved. Just shut up, man. Come inside. We can talk after you take a bath. And put some fucking pants on. She dry heaved again. I climbed to my feet and allowed some space before I followed L'Oreal into her home. The place was nice. It was an interconnected series of tunnels, some of which seemed naturally occurring, and some of which she definitely cleared away with magic. One of the main channels led to a room that featured a nice little underground hot spring, and she pointed in that direction while still covering her mouth and nose. Just don't drink the water, she said. I know. I closed the door behind me and lowered myself into the steaming fluid. What a fucking day. After all the bullshit that I'd been through, this was some well-deserved rest and relaxation, damn it. I took my sweet-ass time with that bath, and it really cleared my thoughts. And also, I got to rub one out. I'm sure that L'Oreal didn't intend on me doing that, but she also didn't have to know. Besides, her main priority was just removing the stench of shit and vomit from her presence, understandably, and I could easily kill both of those birds with one shit ball. All right, so real quick, I know that it's driving you crazy, so let's address the two-headed elephant in the room. Who exactly is L'Oreal? Well, that is a good question, and to answer that question, we must travel way back into Ballsfart history. All the way back to my days at Wizarding College. What, you ask? Ballsfart went to college? But how? He's retarded. And wait, Wizarding College? Yes, friends, it is true. Your old pal Sir Ballsfart definitely once attended Wizarding College. Conlangus Wizarding College, to be more precise. But hold on. So does that mean that Ballsfart knows how to do some cool wizarding stuff? No, actually. It absolutely does not, because I failed out of literally every single course. To this very day, I still can't even do that thing where you make it look like you pull your thumb off. But all that being said, that year wasn't completely wasted, because while I was attending Wizarding College, I was completely wasted. And let's be honest, that's the real reason that most people attend Wizarding College in the first place. It's all about them sick-ass wizard parties. And sure, it doesn't hurt that when you tell chicks that you're studying to become some badass mage or whatever, they practically cream themselves, regardless of species. Yeah, that was a pretty nice perk as well. So anyway, while attending this Wizarding College, I met L'Oreal, because we had the same major, Transfiguration. She, being a dark elf, was fucking dope at it by nature, while I, being a chubby human only there for pussy and magic drugs, was fucking awful at it. Now that's not to say that no human can become proficient at performing magic, but let's be real here. Few, if any of our kind, can ever dream of becoming nearly so in tune with the ley lines as the elves are at birth. And as has already been demonstrated in this tale, everything from merpricks to kappas have a certain amount of inherent magical prowess, but pretty much no species, to my knowledge, holds a single demonic candle to the elves when it comes to natural magical aptitude, and L'Oreal was certainly no exception. I failed out after the first year, but it was never once doubted by anyone that she would finish with high honours. Everyone knew that she'd become a sick-ass mage someday, and no one could have predicted that over a decade later she'd be found living all alone in some cave beneath a fucking penis forest. As I walked into the dining area, drying the water from my hair, I asked her, "So what are you doing out here? It's been so long. How have you been all these years?" She didn't look up from her reading. "Your dick's still out," she said. "Oh, yeah. You said you had some pants." She pointed down the hall. "Second door on the right, in the wardrobe. There should be something stretchy." I followed her directions, stretching a pair of shiny purple striped pants over my chubby little legs before rejoining her in the breakfast nook. L'Oreal closed her tome of ancient arcana, or whatever the fuck she was reading, and turned to address me. "So you go first. What's up? It's been, 12 or 13 years since I've seen you? That's a long time, Ballsfart. How you been?" "I've been good. Real good, actually. Just, adventuring mostly. That's what I usually do these days, lots of adventuring. But I'm also hoping to save up to get my own kingdom at some point. Adventuring, huh? What's your class? My class? I'm, more of a multi-class, really. Multi-class, huh? Ambitious. L'Oreal rolled her eyes. So what's your multi-class comprised of? I'd say that I'm sort of a roguish warrior, fighter, thief, assassin, knight type. Though honestly, I don't like to put labels on it. Very reductive, you know. Sure. She took a sip from her tea. So you make good money with this multi-class? Oh, yeah. I pulled down tons of gold. Got it all locked up in crates back at my sex tower. Well, that's good. I was worried that you wouldn't be able to pay off your debts to Conlangus. All right, pause story again. Quick aside, when she says that I owe Conlangus, she's referring, of course, to the crippling student loan debt that I currently owe to a small horde of demons who offered me financial aid. See, I don't know how it works in your universe, but where I'm from, wizard schools are usually run by demons, and it's this whole thing, but all you need to know is that yes, I am in extreme debt to these demons, and okay, you got me. The whole reason that I'm in the adventuring game in the first place is to find random money in caves so that I can pay off my crippling student loan debts. Are you happy? Bats out of the bag. I know that I told you that this was all about magic anal beads and pussy, and in a way it is. But in another way, if we're being totally honest here, yes, I technically do it all for the money. See, normally there's a lot of gold in crates and barrels when you go adventuring, or you can at least find something sellable on people's corpses. Now, that certainly has not yet been the case in this fucking penis forest, but I swear that's normally how this works. Also, while we're on the subject, it may be worth noting that Princess Tits is the daughter of a wealthy king, and that winning her tits in marriage would mean also becoming rich, and therefore getting the demonic forces that haunt me from time to time off my back for good. But most of this shit doesn't matter right now. I deal with these finance demons on an annual basis, so there's plenty of time before I have to fuck with that again. Anywho, back to the story. I cleared my throat, and I lied my balls off to L'Oreal. Debts? Oh yeah, I almost forgot about those, because I paid them off years ago. Yup, paid them off with my first big score, way back when I brought down that giant 3-headed leopard seal. Like I said, I have tons of gold pieces now. But enough about me. How are you, L'Oreal? You look great. It's like you haven't aged a day. Thanks. I haven't. I'm an elf. We don't age. But to catch you up to speed, I eventually finished school, graduated with high honors, and then I spent a few years interning with a necromancer over in Dildopolis. Dildopolis? That's over by Testicular Gulch, right? I think I know the one. That guy's a real corpse fucker, isn't he? He is. But he's also a necromancer, so that could honestly describe any of them. But that's not why I left. No, eventually I just got tired of it. The gig paid fine, but it was going nowhere. And I just didn't feel like I was really using my skills to their full potential. So then I relocated and got into general sorcery in the area around Pussytown. Oh shit, I've heard about that place. How is it over there? Being on the coast's nice, but it's a real taco fest. Sounds like my kind of place. They'd cut off your dick as soon as you entered city limits. Well, never mind then. Yeah, that was most of the transfiguration work that I did out there, turning men into women. Really basic stuff, though it's good money. But unfortunately, that town's just fucking crazy. I ended up having to get the hell out of there after I got in deep with Captain Jezebel and her Pirates of Pussytown. Ugh, what a nightmare. And getting away from that, of course, is what brought me here. Because a giant penis forest is probably the last place that a bunch of pirate dykes would come looking for me. Huh. Yeah. Well, that's fucked up. Sure is. But I'm glad to hear that you were able to successfully run from your problems. Currently, I'm having a bit of trouble running from mine. As you've probably noticed, this place has magic out the ass, and I've been trying to cross the borders, but without much success. You know anything about that? Do I have to fly through the barrier or something? That might be one way, but it's not easy, and seeing as that Drake's pretty quick on the draw, I'd say the forces that be would have a flaming dick up your ass before you could make it through the force field. Well, that's not ideal. Any alternatives? The only other way would be going around the barrier, and that means going beneath it. Burrowing? Perhaps, though it extends pretty deep underground. No, I would suggest using the merfolk tunnels. Those lead to the rivers outside the barrier. But is that also true going eastward? I'm actually headed towards the mountains. Yeah, I would assume. That's where the merfolk hide Naiadis, deep under the Chodies. It's an old and well-connected city. I'm sure that there are some paths leading up into the mountains around there somewhere. But hold on, why would you want to go east? You've heard about the Baron, right? Damn Skippy, that fuckhead is my target. Wow, L'Oreal's beautiful eyes widened. That's quite an impressive target. Suicidal, but impressive. Suicidal? Pfft. I told you already, I'm a seasoned adventurer these days. I do shit like this all the time. Not like this guy. He's different. If you just go barging in there, he'll stomp you into the floor. I think you're vastly underestimating my abilities, as well as just how cunning and stealthy I am. I'm actually not. I can read your aura. I can see that you're definitely not any of those things. I cleared my throat again. So what do you have in mind for navigating the mermaid tunnels? You have like an armored submersible that I can ride around in or something? Submersible? Do I look like a fucking dwarf? No, Ballsfart. I do transfigurations. I can make you into a merman. What? Seriously? That's an option? I'll be able to do force fields and shit? Well, no, not really. You won't really be a merman, but I can make you look like one. Though even then, you'll probably still stand out a little bit. You won't have the black glassy eyes or all those crazy head fins or the webbed hands or the weird hairline or any of the little stuff, but yeah, I think you'd pass. I can basically give you a fish's lower half, and I can throw a few gills on your lungs too. You'd look fucking weird, but you'd basically pass for a merman. Gills, huh? And they'd be real? I'd be able to breathe underwater? I think so. Pretty sure you would. but maybe not. No guarantees. Again, you won't actually be one of the merfolk. You're just going to look a lot like them superficially. I can give you some cool little tusks too. Yeah, I'll probably need those. But wait, once I get out of the water, how do I turn back into a human? Fair question. I could always put a timer on it. You know, by linking it to the astrological alignments. How long do you think it'll take you to get through Niotis? Shit, I have no idea. I've never been there before. A day? A week? But if I turn into a human in an underwater mermaid city, I'm done for pretty quickly. It's probably best to give me some leeway. Do you have any idea how long those caves are, or how big the city is? I have no fucking clue, bro. And it's safe to assume that the entrance of the mountain probably won't be very easy to find. So I'd say give it at least a week, just to be safe. I mulled it over for a moment. Yeah, I guess a week sounds good. Worst case scenario, I have to hang out in Mermaid Town for an extra day or so. Well, actually, worst case scenario, the mermaids can totally tell that you're not really a mermaid, and you get torn limb from limb in an underwater cave. True. Huh. Well, I really appreciate your assistance here anyway. This adventure was getting a little shitty there for a minute, but you seem to have really turned things around. How long can I expect until you're ready to have performed this transfiguration? Hold on, buddy. We haven't discussed payment yet. Oh, but you know I showed up here naked and broke, right? Sure, and maybe you'll find all sorts of treasure in the Baron's palace, but that's not my concern. What I need right now is an adventurer. What? You said that you've never been to Pussytown? Well, at some point, I'm going to need you to go. I can't keep hiding out here forever. Eventually, I need to find those psycho cunts and kill them before they can kill me first. So what do you say to that? Sure, I guess. I mean, of course, you know me. I'm always down for an adventure. And if it will get me out of this fucking dick forest, I'll do whatever I have to. Yeah, I'll chop down some pirate bitches for you. Wouldn't be my first time. Cool. All right then. Well, it's getting late, and I'm sure that you're pretty worn out from all that running scared from a drake that you were doing. There's a guest bedroom downstairs. Make yourself at home. I'm going to stay up late and get this spell prepared. I'll see you in the morning. Sounds good, L'Oreal. Good night. Night. I trotted off happily as the elf witch returned to her reading. Wow. Okay. That was chapter 6 of 19 chapters. Oh boy. All right. Well, we did it. We got through the 6th chapter of Sir Ballsfart in the Forest of Penises. There were a lot of things that I just really don't want to discuss now. I guess that review's starting to make a little bit more sense in hindsight. So, all right. I would like to thank everyone again that has listened to this riveting tale, and apologize. Again, I probably should have started this one off with a trigger warning. Looking back, that would have been a better idea. Anywho, okay, well, it was great reading another chapter from the greatest story ever told. This has been Squancho the Monkey Boy. Until next time, bye.